All right, hello and welcome everybody. It is 3 o'clock and that means it is time for our final presentation of the day, our Best in Track presentation from the amazing PAL team at the University of Central Florida. Today, Jessica Tojo-Raible, Dr. Rebecca McNulty, Dr. Baiyun Chen, and Joe Lloyd will be presenting Revamping PALs, Improving Faculty Development Program for Adaptive Learning and Using Data. And we have a Best in Track trophy for you guys, but I'm holding it hostage until you decide who gets it. So without any further ado, please take it away, PAL team.
Awesome. Thank you, Charlotte. Thank you again for joining us this afternoon. It's the last session before the wrap-up one, so we really appreciate you being with us. So as Charlotte said, we are going to be presenting on revamping PALs, improving our faculty development program for adaptive learning using data. And before we get started, we kind of want to show you a quick 2-minute video that kind of gives you introduces you to what personalized adaptive learning is at UCF. So, oh, and you know what? I think I forgot to share my audio, but let's see if I did. I can't remember. Okay. One moment, I'm having technical issues. Can you hear it?
Here at the University of Central Florida, we have been developing an adaptive learning initiative for the last few years. The goals behind this initiative include improving student performance, their success, their retention, and try to do that at scale. And one of the tools that we've been using to do that is a system called Realize It.
We're able to post all of the online materials in small digestible chunks, and through continuous assessment, we're able to give each student a personalized experience as they navigate through the course materials.
It lets me see how students are doing in my class. I can see if they're struggling with content before the exam.
My role as an instructor really changed by becoming less of a traditional teacher to becoming much more of a facilitator. And I had to be okay with giving students that power, knowing that students had the control over what they learned once they reached mastery.
What I like most is the fact that it is truly adaptive. So every time a student uses the system, it gives them the content in a different way or asks different questions. So each time it's a unique experience which helps them really learn the content.
Realize It also helped me teach by allowing me to engage students much more frequently and consistently with assessment. I really understand how I'm helping students make connections between the material, and so for that I feel that it's captivating.
What I liked best is that it provided different ways of learning, whether through graphics or audiovisual, just videos in general. I'm a very visual learner, so when I see things, I retain it better. And the more I practice, the more I review the information, it allowed me to not only improve my percentage, but also made the learning more enjoyable, and it made it fun, not being penalized, not knowing it all, but more so making it more rewarding.
All right, so, looking at that video, it kind of highlighted the content of what the instructors and students were saying about personalized adaptive learning is still true today. However, some of those screenshots and videos of the actual Realize It system are a bit outdated. So that is something we are going to be working on in the upcoming months. But again, we want to welcome you again. And today we're going to be kind of talking about what we created as instructional designers here to help faculty teach and develop personalized adaptive learning using Realize It, which is the adaptive platform system that we support in addition to a few others. We're also going to talk about the highlights of participant evaluation that we received from our faculty members that have completed PAL 6000, as well as how we use that data to help drive our revisions in our faculty development course. And also at the end, we're going to kind of show you a demo of our PAL 6000 course within Canvas and Realize It, and also offer you an opportunity to to download our common cartridge for our Canvas component of our PAL course. But before we get started, it's been a long week. I know for me it has, and probably for most of you, but in the chat, if you can go ahead and tell us on a scale of cats, how do you feel today? I know I feel like a 3. So if you can just enter that number into the chat, that would be great to kind of see where we are. So we have, yeah, 9. I'm almost there at a 9. Okay, oh, I like 2s. 2s are good. 7. All of the above, that's acceptable, I think, Meredith. Awesome. 5. Oh, 5. I hope it gets better. Today you're a 1. Nice. 6. Yeah. It's a lot of good information that we've been learning at TOPkit this week, and so I think overwhelmed with information is also an appropriate feeling. Okay, great. So let's go ahead, and I have one more quick poll to kind of just gauge everyone's experience with adaptive learning. So what is your current experience with adaptive learning, whether it's at your institution or whether it's something you've read about, whatnot? In the chat, can you please go ahead and either say 1, you're rocking it, you're using it at your institution really well. 2, you've kind of dabbled in it. 3, you've heard a really rumor that it's pretty cool, or you've never heard of it at all. Okay. Some 3s. Just those of you that have tipped your toe in the water, are there any systems that you may have used or experienced? If you can put that in the chat as well, just to kind of see what other institutions or other people have experience with. Okay, used it in your CPR cert class. That's awesome. Thanks, Deborah. Mastery path. Yep. Okay. Very cool. All right, so today we're going to try and kind of give you a quick overview of what adaptive learning is and how we had to create a faculty development offering for those that are implementing adaptive learning at UCF, faculty that are implementing it. So just a quick background, at UCF, we began our adaptive learning journey in 2014. We piloted 2 courses using Realize It. We used the 2 courses that were part of the pilot were pathophysiology for nursing practice and general psychology course. And so those pilots went off pretty well. And then based on word of mouth and sharing about adaptive learning across campus, more interest from faculty to adopt Realize It into their courses started to grow. And so we kind of needed something to help our faculty design and develop adaptive learning, especially in Realize It, since it is a content agnostic system. So there is no content at all within the system. It's kind of something that faculty would have to either create on their own, find publisher content, or open educational resources that could be uploaded into the system. So it was kind of a different beast than our traditional faculty development offering that we provide faculty who teach fully online and blended courses. But in the beginning, we kind of used that 10-week IDL 6543 course and had those faculty who were interested in using adaptive learning do additional assignments related to designing and developing and Realize It. And so that lasted for a few semesters, but then we realized, some faculty may have already experienced IDL 6543, so that wouldn't really benefit them to do it again. And they still need this personalized adaptive learning training. So we worked as a team and created PAL 6000, which is the course that we're going to be talking to you about today. And that launched in fall of 2017. And so I'm going to let Baiyun to kind of give us the history of that.
Thank you, Jessica. Yeah, so we started our faculty training program with PAL 6000, and then we also created PAL 5000, an abbreviated version of PAL 6000. So those are the two faculty development offerings we have for the adaptive learning faculty members. So these two courses, and they place faculty into the student role in the Realize It adaptive platform, where the instructors themselves, they can experience how students will ultimately be presented with content and assessment items, how they interact, how their students will interact with the system. And the target audiences of these two courses are slightly different. So PAL 5000 is focusing on faculty members who plan to teach with adaptive platform, adaptive technologies using existing courseware, so they don't have to design or develop themselves. They just need to learn about what is adaptive learning and then what are some course management strategies. And PAL 6000 is targeting at faculty members who design and develop new adaptive activities. And in total, we have 65 instructors who have completed these two courses since 2017. While the number may not seem large comparing to our other faculty training programs, and it is really important to recognize that there's significant effort going into producing those adaptive courses. So typically it takes our instructors and PAL IDs 2 to 3 years to develop and produce an adaptive course in Realize It. So this is actually immense workload for our PAL IDs. And the next slide, please, Jessica. So, and the PAL 6000 course is broken into 6 modules plus a Getting Started module 0. And the PAL ID guided the instructor through the design and development process via completing a build your course activity, and the instructors, they would start from create a learning map, develop content, assessments, items, and they learn about grading and course management strategies. And the instructors receive guidance and support from an assigned PAL ID throughout the whole course and beyond to complete the design and development of any additional PAL courses, even after they finish PAL 6000. The next slide, please. Yes, and like I said earlier, so this training courses place our faculty participants into a student role in the Realize It platform, where they can interact with the system as a student. So most of the reading content and the practice, they are built inside Realize It. The build your course activity is submitted inside Canvas. So the core design and development work happens during module 2, 3, and 4. And in these modules, instructors, they ultimately determine which parts or which topics of their course will be designed in an adaptive learning. They then select and create learning content for each of these topics and develop assessment questions for the topics. And module 5 and 6 focus on the course development. So normally, our PAL ID would also go over the grading and the system analytics again in a consultation right before the instructor starts to teach their first adaptive course. I think that's it. And Jessica.
Okay, so basically we started with the course, and then as we went through to try to revamp it and revise it a little bit, one of the first things that we did was collect at the end of the course. We had a faculty survey, so we kind of collected some, we asked them a couple of questions to see what their thoughts are after they've completed the course. The first question that we asked was, what was your overall satisfaction with the course content and the reading assignments and things that we had. You can see from the chart here that the it was overwhelmingly positive, either satisfied or very satisfied with, just a couple of neutrals, but definitely no negative responses in this case.
Right. So the other part that we looked at in terms of evaluation data was some of the qualitative responses we got to the individual questions. So we had an overwhelmingly positive response to some of the please rate 1 to 5 questions, but in the qualitative, we got some concrete suggestions on what we could do to make the course more effective for our faculty participants. So when asked, what did you find most valuable about PAL 6000? Our participants noted that consultations with a personalized adaptive learning instructional designer was the most helpful. So in our revision process, we made sure that we didn't take away any of those connection opportunities. Instead, we just highlighted them and made sure that the content continued to align towards that goal. Participants also appreciated that the content that we delivered was housed inside Realize It so that they were able to encounter PAL 6000 in the same way that a student would encounter one of their adaptive courses, and realize it's a different system that instructors and students haven't necessarily seen before. So seeing it from the student perspective was helpful. Participants also appreciated learning to chunk and break down content, and the fact that we had tables and images to visually prepare the faculty for working inside of Realize It. So as part of our revision, we continued to add additional tables. We added additional images to highlight some of those things that participants liked and would like to have seen more of. And this is just a couple screenshots of inside the Realize It section of PAL 6000. So you can see it models different lesson paths, which are numbered to the side. And we went ahead and prioritized videos based on participant feedback, and also adding additional tables to show the difference between the kind of course design faculty has done in the past and the ways to make that into an adaptive learning experience. All right, so more qualitative. When asked what was the least valuable about PAL 6000, we found some of our more cogent evaluation technique. So participants responded that some of the assignments seemed redundant. So we went ahead and combined some of those assignments so that participants weren't doing the same work in multiple places. Some of the terminology remained confusing, so we made sure to prioritize adding definitions whenever any of those adaptive specific terms came about. And then one of the things that participants noticed was that we gave a lot of information about working inside Realize It, which is a robust and complicated system. There are a lot of options. So participants noted that if we're recommending a certain setting, they didn't necessarily need to know the settings that we weren't recommending. So we went ahead and focused the recommended and placed additional information off to the side so it's available if someone wanted to go down that route, but it wasn't overwhelming for those who just wanted to use our recommended settings and systems. And so this is just, again, screenshots. This is also inside the Canvas portion of the PD class. So these are some of the assessment strategies that we combined. They used to be multiple assignments, and now they're one for ease of access. And the grading formula is one of those areas where there was a lot of information provided. And if faculty want it, there is a lot of different options that they can choose, but those can be overwhelming. So we've highlighted our recommended formula and separated out other examples into a PDF. Suggestions for improving online content in PAL 6000. Participants suggested more how-to videos, again, because Realize It is a complicated platform, more instructions on navigating the platform itself, and more examples of the various question types that were available. So to address that feedback, we went ahead and added additional video content and showcased additional faculty work inside Realize It so that participants can see what has been working for faculty that have been teaching inside this system for a while. And again, this is inside of the Realize It content. To the right, we have Debbie Hansbahn, who was featured in the video we showed earlier, who was an early adopter of a lot of these adaptive learning assignments. And she's got a video to show faculty what she has done and her tips for getting started.
And then, going back to the question, we then asked them, what is their response to the build the course project. Basically, in addition to the reading that they had to do and realize that, then they actually started building their course out using what they've learned. And so we asked, how in response to the statement, the Build Your Course project in which you began to develop your course was relevant to your specific teaching and learning needs. And again, we got a pretty overwhelmingly positive response. More than half of the people surveyed said that they strongly agreed that it was relevant. We had, the next couple that agreed, and then some were kind of neutral, but again, no negative responses to this. So.
And back to qualitative assessment, some of the concrete recommendations we received was making online content more concise. So we went ahead and prioritized that in our revision process. And again, providing visuals for the workflow through creating the project. So we went ahead and added additional images where we can, and are continuing to see where those might be appropriate moving forward. So just an example of an image that we added inside of Realize It. One of our goals here was to work alongside of some of our other professional development courses while not replicating the experience that participants have gotten through some of our other development offerings. So we did a very high level understanding of some of these key concepts, and then went closer into how they apply to Realize It and the Build Your Course project within the adaptive space.
And then the last major question that we asked them was to rate their overall satisfaction with their consultation with their instructional designers with us. And again, the same theme of overwhelmingly positive, even more so to this respect, because we had over 2/3 of them said they were very satisfied, and the last bit said that they were satisfied, and nothing less than that. So.
Yep, and there were no suggestions on how to change or improve these consultations. Instead, participants just really noted how helpful it was to have the, somewhat, it makes sense given that this allows participants to have a personalized learning experience as they're developing that kind of personalized learning experience for their students. And then just a quote from the evaluations: the consultations were eye-opening to me. I have no recommendations to improve because I always went in with so much more information than I knew going in. They were tremendously helpful in learning more about the adaptive learning
environment. And then we asked them to, rate their effectiveness of the PAL 6000 course in supporting their ability to meet the course development goals that they set at the beginning of it. Again, almost 3/4 of the respondents said that they felt that it was very effective. About 1/4 were effective, and then a few were neutral, but again, no negative responses to that question. So.
And so we used the participant feedback that they appreciated flexibility in the self-paced modules, that they wished for funding and grant support to go through this because it is such a substantial amount of work, and that they just were noting the length of time it took to complete the course that they were not necessarily expecting, just because this is not an insignificant project for anyone to undertake. So to address that feedback, we made sure to preserve that kind of flexibility inside of the course itself, make sure that the self-paced markers continue to exist so participants can go through in a non-stress way, and then considered ways to update communications around time commitment, make sure that they understand what they are getting themselves into, and also the real benefits that they can see through that completion. So we just went ahead and made sure that all of the assignments were organized in such a way that faculty really had a clear understanding of what was coming up and how to prioritize their time around some of these larger assignments. And then with all of this in mind, we went ahead and broke the course into a page-by-page spreadsheet and went through it piece by piece. So we kept qualitative and quantitative evaluation results in mind, and then read through all of the content to think through the lens of some of this participant feedback. How can we make it clearer, make it more concise, and make it more towards what we're hoping faculty achieve. So this is just a quick screenshot. This spreadsheet went down many, many pages, but we went page by page and then broke it back up between ourselves to re-review and evaluate and come to a final product. And then in terms of next steps, Baiyun went ahead and had our graphics department make this really amazing personalized adaptive learning course badge, which we have started to distribute among our faculty, because we found that some of them take a lot of pride in the work that they've committed and want to show off to their students that this is a class that allows these woohoo CDL graphics, allows these personalized pathways as they're moving forward. So students know that going in. And then we're working to continue now that we have PAL 6000 in a place where it's ready for new faculty participants. Our next steps are update promotional materials like the early video that you saw, and continue to update documentation inside and outside of the development course. Just because we're working with an outside platform, anytime they make any updates, our documentation has to change to match it. So this is a continuous process based on evaluation feedback and the technical requirements.
Okay, so that was a lot of information, but we wanted to show you the faculty development course that we have. And I'm in student view because that's the best way to experience the Realize It component of this course. So it's set up with your homepage. You start here and we have a syllabus that has all the information for faculty to read. Hopefully they read it just like they want their students to read it. So it has all the information about the course objectives, all of those good things that you would find in a syllabus. And then our modules is where we have everything organized for faculty to go through each module. Like Baiyun mentioned, we have 6 content modules with a getting started module, where we kind of introduce to faculty the course and what is expected of them. How to access any of our personalized learning guides, which kind of how do I access personalized adaptive learning? Where can I find tutorials or guides for students? Since they are wearing the student hat in this course, they're actually wearing 2, right? They're wearing the student hat when they're going through the content here, but they're also, the instructor developing a course in adaptive learning. So we have all of these tutorials that they can find if they need it. But then we have our modules, which every module is structured the same. We have an overview, and then we have all modules except for module 6 have a Realize It assignment. And so when a student, or in this case, the faculty go through and they go into the personalized adaptive learning assignment, it is launched into a new window because it is an LTI. And so when that happens, it'll launch them into Realize It. And usually the first recommendation that Realize It gives students is to complete determined knowledge. And determined knowledge is kind of like a pre-test to kind of to see what students know and what they don't know. And then based on their responses to answers, it will guide them through their learning map, which you can see here. And it also wants to know the student's emotional state. I know that sometimes, most of the time, from my experience with faculty that I work with, a lot of them are happy or content, but every once in a while, they will find the frustrated emotion, and they kind of wonder, well, why is that? And so that's an amazing opportunity for faculty to reach out to that student and see what's going on with them. But I'm not going to share my emotional state. So here, the student can go right into the learning map without doing determined knowledge. So this is where our content for PAL 6000 lives. because we want to give the faculty that experience that their students will have when they implement adaptive learning into their courses. So this is what it would look like. You know, every map is going to be different based on prerequisites. But you'll notice that the one node at the beginning is open and the remaining nodes are locked. So I would have to work in this node, and I'll just show you what it looks like. So this is where our content is, and it's chunked into different sections. And then at the end of every node, or lesson is another term that we use. It will assess the student formatively. So it's just giving them content in chunked pieces so that they can read the content, and then they will be assessed at the very end. Here are some tables that we've added, and then there are questions. We've tried to do a variety of question types: multiple choice, true, false. I think there's matching, and there's enter, answer, fill in the blank type questions. So I answered these questions, and I'll just do that. I'm just gonna guess, right? Okay, can't really guess with this one, but you get the idea. And then after I answer the questions, depending on how I do, then my learning map may change, and these nodes or lessons that are locked will open. And so faculty go through that and they complete it, and that grade is sent back to Canvas based on an auto grade transfer operation or grading schedule that we have set up. Is there anything specific that anyone would like to see in this course? And again, at the end of every module, that consultation is so important. That is where we work really closely with our faculty on designing and developing an adaptive course or modules, just because it is such a robust system and it is a different way of thinking, because you have to granularize your thinking when designing a realize it adaptive course or module. Is there anything specifically that we want to see in this course? I'll just scroll through. Here are those BYCA assignments where we're helping faculty kind of scaffold, like build components of their adaptive learning module. And so it just keeps going, and the same thing, this would be in Realize It, and then the assignments would be submitted in Canvas. So those are pretty much how the modules are set up. And with the exception of module 6, which does not have a Realize It module component to it. And then you'll notice that we ask the faculty members that complete PAL 6000 to complete that survey, and that's the data that we use to help us evaluate how we're doing and how we can improve this course. So I guess with that said, if this is something that interests you, you will have the option to reach out to us to download the common cartridge for the Canvas part, because that's the easiest thing we can give you. It's really hard to get things out of Realize It. So that probably wouldn't be what we can give you, but we can definitely give you the Canvas common cartridge if that is something that interests you. So let's go ahead and just open up to any questions that anyone may have about PAL 6000 active wing. Questions. And you can unmute yourself if you prefer to ask that way as well. Okay, well, guess there are no questions. So you can contact us at pal@ucf.edu if you wish to, if you want the Canvas Common cartridge to either look at, download, or whatever you want to use it for. And then you also can visit our website, cdl.ucf.edu/teach/pal. And we can put that in the chat for you all. I know we're a few minutes early. Is there anything else? Any other questions?
So yeah, I'll ask a question just for everybody in
Sure.
the audience, who may not have the capabilities of PAL, at their institution. And I think I've asked this question in a few other presentations as well, but that's just if somebody wanted to get started with something similar to PAL, how would they talk to their administrators to get it, to get it also? And what do you think the first steps would be to adopt something like an adaptive learning software?
That's a good question. I know that when we first started, there were a variety of systems. I don't know exactly how it got started because I came shortly after it started, and Baiyun may have more of an answer for that. But I know that there was interest from faculty. And so with that information, we looked at a variety of systems, and ultimately the faculty members chose this, and they ultimately chose Realize It because it was content agnostic. There was no content in it. They thought they could, make it their own and things like that, which gives them that freedom. Whereas a publisher adaptive system may not give them that freedom because they're kind of locked into whatever the publisher has, right? I don't know if Baiyun can add more to that.
Sure. Yeah, so I think if a faculty member who is interested in adopting adaptive technologies to address a particular challenge or problem that they have in their course, and I think the best resource for them is here and at CDL, and contact an instructional designer, a PAL ID, and then we can talk with you. We can discuss what is adaptive learning a good solution for your course. And it's also a good idea to talk with faculty and instructors who have used adaptive learning and to see what they like about it, what they don't like about it. For instance, right now we have a curriculum redesign initiative. So a lot of faculty members, they are interested in adopting new technologies like personalized adaptive learning, and they would reach out to us and we can talk about their details of their course. And we can also connect them with instructors who have used this technology. For instance, right now we have some statistics faculty members who is interested, and we are connecting them with faculty members in the UNC Charlotte faculty members who have just taught statistics using Realize It for the last couple of semesters. So they can talk with each other, they can compare notes, and then see if that's the way that they want to go. And adopting adaptive technology, it's a long way. It's a big commitment. So it's not something that we can finish within one semester and then we just change your mind. So we really want the faculty members to understand what is the task ahead of them, and then they make the commitment, and then we can work with them for 2 or 3 years to complete the course development.
And do you find that that's one of the most common misconceptions when a faculty member is asking to use PAL for the first time, is the amount of time that it takes?
Yeah, I think if they haven't heard about it, and the first thing I would say that it's very time consuming. So be prepared that just to finish 1 or 2 modules within the first semester, and then we are going to be together on the same boat, work for 2 or 3 years to finish this project. And we also want to emphasize that it's best for the whole course to be developed inside the platform so that we can take advantage of the adaptivity, and not an adaptive system is not just for one module, one remediation or acceleration module, but it's for a whole course, a whole program.
Unmuted. And awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And this is the last chance to ask any questions. If anybody else has any interest in using adaptive learning at their own institution, speak now or forever hold your peace.
We'll add, in addition to Realize It, we do work closely with Acrobatic, which is another platform by Vital Source. And that system is different because you can easily ingest publisher content, since Acrobatic is owned by Vital Source, who we all know has, you know, all the titles in the world. Well, not really in the world, but you know what I mean. But yes, that's another system we support. And our faculty work closely with us and the Acrobatic client engagement representative at Acrobatic. So, all right, so I guess everyone probably wants their shuffleboard code. I know I do. So thank you for sharing the code. It's adaptive_magic. So thank you again for joining us this afternoon. We had a great time, and I hope you found our session valuable, or if not, get you to start thinking about maybe adaptive learning at your institution. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Yes, thank you so much, amazing PAL team, for a fantastic presentation and for sharing everything that you know about adaptive learning. So I'm going to go ahead and pause recording